interview tonight. And we're about to ask him some of his childhood experiences, if he'd share those with us, please. Could you tell us some of yours?
Well, I think the one your dad was talking about was a Halloween thing that we pulled on the guy. The old highway out here, after they built the new highway. What I'm talking about is a highway. It's now, I call it new highway because that was built about when I was probably about, 10 years old, I suppose. Maybe before that. But on the old highway out there on the curve way was a farm called the Benichucks, because that's who lived there. And anyway, they used to have a dairy, and they raised milk, and then they delivered milk all around that, you know. In them days, you know, when the old cast iron cook stove wasn't unusual to see, you know. And they had a city dump and that, but a lot of people always just dumped their stuff out along the road, you know. Yeah, you see Davenports. It wasn't unusual to see Davenports or a bed or something laying out in the ditch alongside the road. Well, out there by Benichucks, about a block away by Benichucks, by the road, near the old school, in the ditch was an old cook stove. Probably weighed about, I think they must have weighed about 400 pounds, 500 pounds, you know. They were heavy son of a guns, cast iron. So anyway, young Nick, when they get done milking about 7 o'clock, this was on Halloween night, or maybe it was another night, close to Halloween. Nick would take milk, young Nick, in a Model A Ford, and he'd go past us guys where we was hiding in the ditch there, and go up in the Winnebago Heights area, and deliver milk up there, you know, taking about a half hour. And then he'd come back home, you know. So anyway, when Nick went up there, then us guys, we took that big old cook stove and we put it right in the middle of the road, you know, crossways in it. It was probably about as long as that Davenport, you know. They were that big. Well, it was big, I'll tell you. Junk man's delight. And anyway, right across the road over from where we was at, there was a cornfield, but old DeWitt farmed that. He had it into shocks. In them days, they didn't have no picker shellers or anything, you know. They cut the shocks and pile them in shocks up, you know.
I'm not hungry right now, though.
And that way, the corn would dry, and they'd take it in later into the barn and do it, you know. So we got a mess of them shocks, and we covered the whole sides of that stove, so it looked in the road just like you just had shocks there, you know. But in the middle of it was that big old heavy stove.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was about, after we got that done, it was about 5 or 10 minutes, we looked down the road, and it was dark, see, and here comes old Nick tooling with that. We see his headlights coming around the corner down by the old station down there on the other side of the school, with his old Model A coming, you know, and boy, he was doing about 25, you know, and lights on, you know. He spied something in the road about 100 feet before he got to it, you know, and he pulled up there real close to it, you know, and seen what it was. So he seen that it was just corn shocks, see, so he figured, them goddamn kids, he's only our age too, you know. He's probably about 16, 17 years old at the time. I was only about 12, you know. Anyway, I'll fix them darn fools. So he takes and he backs the car up about 300 foot, see?
Yeah.
Clear back to the school and back clear up. Boy, then he shifts that thing into gear, you know, and he's really coming. He's going to tool, and he's going to go right on through that, you know. And he must have been going about 40, you know. Not that fast, about 30, 35. And he's going to go blast right through them corn shocks. Well, he met an immovable object in the middle of the corn shocks. He hit that with that Model A.
Yeah.
And, oh, gosh, I can remember hearing him scream, you know, and the steam, the water from the radiator busted, mangled that, and threw it all over the engine. The old steam just coming up out of it. We thought at first he got killed, you know, and then we found out he finally stumbled out of the car and we see him, you know, and boy, we took off, you know.
Did he see
we
you?
went over there hiding in them corn shocks, you know. The rest of it was over there, you know. He's hiding in them corn shocks. Nick, he's balling his head up, you know, and he's heading for home and he's screaming and hollering for his dad. Yeah, we stayed. We thought we'd stick around and see what happened, you know.
Careless turn.
So anyway, we stayed there about a half an hour, you know, and the old man come down there, you know, and looking at Model A and everything, and they discovered that there was that old iron stove was in there. And it wasn't about 5 minutes, here come the sheriff, a couple deputies, you know. Like that, boy, we get scared, you know. And we stuck around there, you know, where we could hear them talking, you know, and that. Finally, they started scouting around. They figured, I don't know whether one of the guys made noise or not. There was about 6 or 7 of us. And I'm just the youngest one about there. And anyway, they figured, well, we're over there hiding in the corn shocks. They're going to capture us, you know. So anyway, we took off for the river, you know, and that's right north of there. Probably about 3 blocks north, you know. Oh, did I ever run. I run so hard, and I could not get my breath anymore. I run so hard. I run over a cliff over there that I swear if it was daylight and I seen what I was doing, I would have broke my neck. But anyway, we ended up at home, you know, later, about an hour later. But they never caught us, you know. They come around, you know, accusing us. Well, we don't know. We never left the yard all night long. Couldn't have been us. Must have been them darn Aldridges, or else it was the Mexicans that lived up there. They must have done that. But it wasn't the Spraus. So they never got us for it. But everything worked out all right, I guess.
Any other experiences they had?
Well, anybody has. I've told a lot of baloney to the kids like Jennifer. She likes here too, you know. But I'll tell you, I liked growing up where I did out by the sugar factory out there. You know, I got where I knew every hole in the river, what it was, and everything. And we always went swimming out there and fishing. And you know, when I went to school out there 8 years, 7 years up there where the quarry's at now, and then 1 year down there when they moved to school, down on the corner of the sugar factory, because of the blasting that the Lehigh was doing, and it was causing the rocks to come over and hit the school. And they were afraid it was going to hit one of us dumb luck kids.
Yeah.
But you can't take the country out of a kid. I never wanted to move away from here, never, you know. But anyway, when I had to go to town school, then after going 8 years out there and then going into Roosevelt, you know, I didn't have the clothes. My folks didn't have the money to buy the clothes for me to go to school. I looked different than the other kids, I suppose, that. I knew right then, in the 9th grade, that was the end of me as far as school was concerned. Because I liked it out in the country, and the only time I spent in school was to hurry up and try and finish out the time so I could get back out the country, out home. So I could get down by the river and play, or whatever I had to do, fish or swim or whatever it was. I hated town school.